much did they ask you to pay for that?
Oh, well, according to the agency, the fee was £5,000.
As at the time?
At the time.
But people are coming through that same agency and are now paying 10,000, right? Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, I was shocked.
It's terrible. Hello guys. So as you all know, at the moment, if you want to relocate to the UK as a nurse or a midwife and you are not from a major English speaking country, you would have to write an English exam to prove your English proficiency, and you'd have to write either Ielts or the OET, right? However, there are some nurses from non-English speaking countries that are relocating to the UK without Ielts, without OET, by paying huge sums of money through a route known as the PAR program. I would explain what this PAR program really is, okay, and why you should not be tempted to come through this route. And then we'll hear from somebody that actually came through this route. We'll hear her opinion about it. I actually wanted to interview her, but she doesn't want her face to show. So I agreed to a phone call. So I'll just call her on the phone and then you just hear her voice, right? So if you're interested, stay tuned. You said it before. Hey, stop that. Hello, dear.
Hello.
Yeah. So I know you're not comfortable sharing your face, so we'll just stick to the voice call. Is that okay with you?
Fine, that's fine.
And do I have permission to put this in my YouTube video?
Yes.
Before we even start? Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate it because I feel that it's a bold step and then people have to be aware, right? So first of all, you came through this PAR program route. How many years ago?
I did. Oh, that was like just last year.
About a year ago.
Yeah.
So why did you choose to come through this route? First of all, what is this route?
Basically, it's a program that, they sort of arrange or put together to help overseas nurses that had probably, passed CBT and probably not out, do some OET training. Okay. As well as OSCE.
Okay.
And then, so most of them had already done CBT from, our home countries.
So how did you first hear of this? You heard of it back in your home country?
Right. I heard of it back in my home country from an agency that I planned on coming with. Okay.
What made it attractive? Is it because they told you that you could come without the IELTS?
To me, what made it attractive for me is that, one, not that come without the IELTS. As for the IELTS, I know that I'll definitely have to do it in order to get my PIN. Either out OET. So at the time, I had written out twice already.
Okay.
I kept getting 6.5 in reading.
Okay.
The rest were okay overall, band score, and then the others were more than 7. They were fine. The reading that I had an issue with. So at the time, I had individually started considering trying OET for myself. Okay. I started making inquiries about it. And they were going to have the computer-based one in my home country. Okay. Because it wasn't there at the time. Okay. And I'd have to probably travel to a different country. I just thought about, the stress and everything. So I started reading a little bit around the OET. And then preparing to go and take the computer-based one. Okay. And the agency that started this whole process with me, that was back in 2019. And just waiting, for me to get the needed score for the IELTS so that they could give me some interviews, some NHS interviews to do. And then, so this person contacted me from the agency to say, this new program, the helping nurses come and then do OET instead here. Okay. So I figured that would be good for me.
How much did they ask you to pay for that?
Oh, well, according to the agency, the fee was £5,000.
As at the time?
At the time.
But people are coming through that same agency and are now paying 10,000, right? Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, I was shocked.
It's terrible. Anyway, so you paid the 5,000 before they gave you the COS?
No, not entirely. So I had to pay it in installments. Yeah. Okay. So prior to getting interviewed by the company, they're going to interview you first before they present you to an employer. Okay. Prior to the interview, after expressing interest and everything, I had to pay the first £500. Okay. I think after getting an interview, and then getting the job to pay the next £1,500. The first one was I paid with my Visa card, online. But the second one, I don't know, it's because of the amount or something. I had to go to a bank and then do the national.
My sister, you have money. Oh. You had this money back in your home country.
No, that's not the case. You go through the normal process. You get interviewed and everything, and get selected. They send you an email to say you passed the interview. So they sent me an offer letter.
Okay.
So the offer letter, they said they needed to send the COS as well. But before they send me the COS, they said not to call them an agency.
Okay.
They call them an educational organization or something like that.
You see, they're very smart, eh? So after that, before they gave you the COS, and they made you pay 1,000.
Yeah, 1,500.
1,500. So that means you had paid 2,000 at the time.
2,000.
So when did you pay the remaining 3,000?
So I paid the remaining 3,000 after I'd gotten the COS.
Okay.
Applied for the visa, which I paid myself as well. It's not part of the 5,000.
Wow.
Before I thought, all those things were packed, and that's why maybe it's 5,000.
Wow.
But although you're paying installments, you have to finish paying everything
before you step foot in the UK.
So that was how it went.
On the COS, did they certify maintenance, or you had to show proof of funds in your bank account?
No, they certified. So I didn't have to show.
Did they pay for your flight?
Flight was paid.
They paid for your flight?
My brother paid for me.
So it wasn't the company, the organization that paid. You paid for your flight yourself. And then what about accommodation?
Accommodation, we paid for that as well. That's the thing. From the very first day we stepped in this country, I arrived here on a Monday morning, and that same day I had to pay my rent.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the COS, how many years was it for?
2 years.
I spoke to another lady that said hers was for 1 year.
I'm sure I wasn't, part of the first batch or anything.
Okay.
I think I was in one of the earlier groups that they brought.
Okay.
So things were a bit different.
Okay.
Because later on, I heard that those that came later on, some of them, I think on the COS, they were being sponsored by the company themselves.
Yes. On your COS, who was your sponsor? Was it an employer?
On the COS, it was the employer that was my sponsor.
So that was yours was even better.
Yeah.
Wow. So let me understand. When you came here, you paid for your own accommodation, and then now they trained you for the OET. How many weeks training did they give you for the OET?
The OET training started in my home country.
So when you got here, were you working as well as doing the OET classes?
Yes.
Were you working full time?
Working full time, yeah. After, arriving, doing quarantine and everything, getting your DBS and all that, we started work. So that was maybe our third week or so of being here. So that was somewhere in April, middle of April last year.
So I'm thinking, this other lady I spoke to, she said they were told not to work more than 20 hours a week.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, that theirs was a bit different. I think maybe she was one of those that had the COS from
the company and not
from the same company and not
the employer. Okay.
Yeah, our COS was with an employer, so we had the liberty of working full time. It's a skilled workers visa.
Did you pass the OET at the very first try when you got here?
By God's grace, I did.
And then you went on and they trained you for the OSCE, and then you passed the OSCE as well.
Yeah, we're actually doing them simultaneously. Like I was saying, we started with the OET training from the home country.
Okay.
Arriving, and I think with the OSCE, we didn't start immediately upon our arrival.
Okay.
It was probably, I would say I think it was probably somewhere in June before we started the OSCE class. Okay. They sent us emails to top up an additional £150. I don't know what, but yeah, an additional £150, which we paid to attending the face-to-face lesson. That was just for 3 days. You know that when you come, you have just 8 months to pass the OSCE and be registered. Yes, you have just 8 months. Were there people in your group that struggled to pass the OSCE and the OET or whatever within the 8 months? I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it. You're not comfortable talking about it, because that is the basis of me doing this video. Because everybody that has called me that came with this program is that is their main hurdle. Because it looks like, honestly, in your opinion, do you think it was worth it coming through this route? Do you think it was worth it? It was stressful. But in the end, I would say that it was, for me, despite, everything that went on, the way the things happened, around that time for me. I just felt like that was my time to come, and I came.
Now it's £10,000. Some are even charging £15,000 for somebody that has not passed the IELTS. And now there's no excuse because there are OET centers in so many countries now. For somebody that has to take a loan of, let's say, £10,000, do you think is worth it? Knowing that now there are OET centers in most of the African countries and then the Asian countries, do you think is worth it for people to go borrow this huge sum of money to come through this route, in your honest opinion?
I would say no for 10,000. Even the 5,000, that was a lot of money at the time. I would say no, but it could also be a yes for someone, depending on their situation. If you've got someone that has passed, CBT long ago, and an expiration date, to pass both test of competence and get their pen, and it's drawing, nearer and nearer, and maybe they still haven't got the outscore that they need,
See, what I think is that, the Home Office, they allow you to take a visit visa to come to the UK to do the OSCE, if that is what you want to come and do, if you have your decision letter to take the OSCE. And applying for a visit visa, together with flights, together with accommodation when you come, together with private OSCE lessons, won't still amount to £5,000. It'll be way less than half of it. You can even spend less than £2,000 if you have somebody that you're staying with. And if you are not passing IELTS or OET in your home country, what is so different when you come here? Is it not the same IELTS and the same OET?
Well, it's the same IELTS, it's the same OET. However, to me, felt like, being here or coming here, not just about the place, but just, being able to be here. I feel like maybe that would motivate me more.
Okay, I get you.
I prepared a whole lot for both of the tests.
So you feel like working as a senior carer or as a pre-registered nurse, watching other nurses work and everything motivated you maybe to even study more to pass, and the fact that you had 8 months to pass both that and the OSCE.
Yeah, I feel like that place,
Okay.
I mean, and gives you some kind of a drive to, because to me,
I feel like you're a rich woman and you probably had the money, so.
No, I didn't just have the money. For the first £500, it was my savings, okay? My mom paid for me. I also like to use this, opportunity to encourage people to also give OET a try. They've done out a few times and then, it's been problematic. They could try OET because OET for, it's, profession specific and everything.
Yeah.
And then, it's more relatable, I would say.
So thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much. I wish people could see your face, your beautiful face, but I understand, your reasons for not showing your face as well. So I'm happy that you even allowed this. We'll talk after this. Let me wrap up. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Guys, this is crazy, isn't it? So you just heard from somebody that actually came through this route, the PAR program route. Okay, so sometimes when people say that they can bring you as a nurse to the UK, even if you're not from a major English-speaking country, they can bring you to the UK without IELTS. Sometimes this is what they actually mean. They mean that they can bring you to the UK, and then when you get here, they'll train you, and then you sit for the OET, or you sit for the IELTS again, and hopefully you pass. Let me tell you this, my time, that's about 4 or 5 years ago, the UK was desperately in need of nurses. They still are, but at the time it was worse. So some of the agencies were doing this, but it wasn't under anything called PAR program. For instance, I have a friend that came through MMA, okay, that came the day after I arrived in the UK. What happened to him was he didn't meet the IELTS score when he wrote it in Ghana, but at the time there was no OET center in Ghana. So MMA was like, no problem, you can still come to the UK. For the visa application, you don't need 777 blah blah blah. You need just 4 if it's UK visa, and if you have a degree, you can apply for NARIC to use for the visa application. So my friend at the time came with the IELTS score that he had, and then when he came here, MMA gave him training for the OET, and then he tried the OET, and then he passed, and then he sat for the OSCE as well. But he struggled to pass the OET. It took him quite a while before he passed the OET. When he was writing his OSCE, he was in his 8th month. And what people don't know is that when you come to the UK as a nurse or a midwife and you're not able to complete the process and pass the OSCE within 8 months, you'd have to go back to your country and reapply again, start the whole process again. Okay, so this to me is dangerous because now there are OET centers in many countries. You can get OET test centers. At the time, 4 or 5 years ago, there were no OET centers in most African countries, so that's why people were using this route. And even MMA was not charging people to bring them through this route. They will still pay for your accommodation, still pay for you. My friend had free accommodation, CBT fee was refunded, flights paid for, every visa, everything paid for. And then they gave him the chance to study and then pass the OET. But now, a smart agency, you see why they don't want to call themselves agencies, because immediately they call themselves agencies, that means they cannot bring people from red listed countries. They've called themselves a training organization or an educational organization. So it's not like they are facilitating movement of people from red listed countries. So it's like you really can't fault them. And I read one of their contracts. Guys, these people are smart. The way they've worded the contract, even if you take them to court, you will lose. They've made it clear that they are not an agency. They're just training you for IELTS and then OSCE. See, private companies that help people with IELTS and OSCE, none of them charges, I've not even seen £1,000. We're not talk of £5,000 or £10,000. They are cheating you because they know that you people are desperate to come to the UK. And one lady I spoke with, her situation was so bad. As at the time I was speaking to her, she had only some few weeks to pass the IELTS or the OET and the OSCE, and she had not passed. So she had to go back home. Meanwhile, when she was coming, she came with her husband and her 2 kids, and she has to go back. She has probably told the whole family back in her home country that I'm traveling to the UK, and she's probably giving her clothes and her house out or whatever. And now she has to go back because she have not passed it, and you don't want to be somebody that has overstayed on her visa. So I feel like this is really not worth it. So what the agency or the organization, what they do is that they tell you that we'll bring you to the UK without IELTS or without OET. When you come here, we'll get you a job and then you'll be working, and then we'll train you for the OET or the IELTS and then OSCE as well. The lady that I was speaking to, she actually went to borrow money from the bank to do this. And then for her, she was only allowed to do 20 hours per week as if she was a student. So how are you going to raise this £10,000 working just 20 hours per week? And don't forget that over here, the shifts are usually 12 hours. How can you be at work for 12 hours a day and still prepare yourself for OET and you're given just 8 months? If you were not fully prepared for the IELTS or the OET back in your home country, what shows that you can be fully prepared here in a foreign land? What shows? But as the lady I spoke to said, she said for her, it gave her the drive and the motivation because she knew it was a deadline. She had to pass everything within the 8 months. And then, she working here gave her that motivation. Fine for her. She was lucky. But 90% of the people I have spoken to that came through this route, they regret seriously coming through this route. See, the same routes that you are coming through that you have to pay £5,000 or £10,000, the same route, people have also come through other routes and did not pay a penny. I'm a nurse like yourself. I didn't pay a penny. My flight was paid for. My accommodation was paid for. Even when I got here, they refunded my CBT money back to me. Like, why would you go through this stress? Nurses like yourself have gone through this process and have gained more, but you are rather losing. Somebody will borrow money from the bank for this and then will use her first 2 years that should be working as a nurse in the UK to pay off this debt. Is it really worth it? To me, it's not. IELTS is about £200. Even if you have to write 5 times, that's about £1,000. Why would you multiply that by 10? That means that amount could have written IELTS about 50 times. Yeah, some people write it once and then they are fed up and they want to just go and borrow money and do this route. It is not really worth it. You'll be so stressed, in my opinion. You'll be so depressed. It is really not worth it. There are 2 categories of people that come through this route. One, they are clueless. They don't know much about the process, okay? So when they are promised that they can come to the UK without IELTS, they jump at the opportunity. They are clueless. They don't know that when they get here, they still have to write it, because without it, you cannot be registered with the NMC and you have to work as a pre-registered nurse. And you have a deadline when you get here to finish it. Other than that, you will leave. You go back to your home country. There are people that do not know this. So they come here and they use this route. They pay these people the money out of ignorance. And then the second group of people that are fully aware that they just want to step in the UK. That is them. If you are part of the first group, this video is for you. This is what the PAR program really is about. They'll bring you here, you pay huge sums of money just for IELTS and OET or OSCE training, which is so not worth it. You can use less than half of the money to do that yourself. If you have to meet a deadline, in my opinion, if your CBT is expiring and you really want to hasten with the process, you can only gather about £2,000 or £3,000 and apply for a visit visa. It is allowed allowed. Come to the UK, sit for your OSCE. If you have friends here, you can stay with them during the time period, and then you write the OSCE. There are so many companies that I advertise on my channel that do private OSCE training, and then you can book and arrange with some of them. It's not that expensive. It's not even up to £1,000. You can use that together with help from your friends and other YouTube videos to pass the OSCE. That is for those that your CBT is expiring and you want to take the bold step and then self-sponsor the process and come here and then do the OSCE. And once you are done, you can get a job. Okay, guys, this program, I feel like it's too expensive. It's not worth it. And there are so many agencies around Africa and Asia that are encouraging people to come through this route. Think deeply about it. You are probably going to pay for your own accommodation when you get here. There was one contract I saw. They told the lady to have at least £1,000 for her first few weeks of accommodation. Some of them, they don't even certify maintenance on their COS, so they have to also get money in their bank accounts before they come. People are taking big loans from banks to do this. Let me tell you this, you are going to use 2 years of your life to pay back this debt. It's not worth it. There are other nurses that are going through the long process route. They're just being patient and going through the normal route and coming here eventually. I have people that were actually my WhatsApp and my Telegram, and I'm applying, and then sometimes I'm like, oh God, relax, okay, just keep applying. And then the next moment they'll say, thank you for motivating me, I have a job offer now. Some will even say, oh, thank you for motivating me, I'm in the UK now. Like, it's just being patient, okay? If you are not passing the Ielts in your home country, or if you are not passing the OET in your home country, what shows that you pass it when you get here? Until you are fully prepared, you will not pass it. So I feel like people should take their time and not be in a rush and not be in a haste to pay huge sums of money just to step on UK soil. It is really not worth it, okay? And this agency or whatever, they are so smart that they presented themselves as an educational organization, so it's not like they're an agency, because they know that agencies are not supposed to charge applicants for jobs. So they are charging you, making it look like they are charging you for the OET training. And there are companies offering OET training for £100. There are companies offering OET training for £200. So why would you pay £10,000 for OET training? It's not worth it. Think about it, guys. Be vigilant. There's so many companies in Ghana that I've heard, Nigeria that I've heard, India that are doing this. Guys, be vigilant. But when they tell you the process that you're coming to the UK without IELTS, this is probably the routes they are bringing you through. So be careful. Thank you. If you got value from this, subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. Okay? Thank you. Bye.